Okay. I'm just gonna kind of go right into like the basics of it. I wanted to wear this shirt, but now I don't want to. I mean, not the shirt that I'm wearing. I'm talking about like the overshirt. So check in, like the very basics. So last time we talked was Saturday, and I was kind of going through it. Not really going through it, just kind of having a moment of like, questioning a lot of things, really just taking a long, hard look, you know, inward and kind of just, I mean, I guess like the Bible says, those who humble themselves will be exalted, and those who exalt themselves will be humbled. And to me, being humbled by God is not something that I'm a fan of. That I prefer not to have Him knock me down to size. So any opportunity I have to see the error in my ways, so that I can maybe make some adjustments on my own before it, going to the to that point, to working its way up the chain of command, if you will. And maybe I am a little hard on myself. So at work, I'm training in a different position. And I guess probably when I started, I was like, everything was so new to me that I didn't like actually look. I wasn't like, okay, so this time I was just like, I saw my book that has like it has like my name on it, and like my training, like basically everybody who's trained me like through all the different shifts since I've been there, at the end of the shift, they will write notes, how everything went, what I did well on, what needed improvement, all of that. And like some of the things that, which they weren't bad at all. I mean, it was things that I already knew. Like I knew that, I needed to work on like my multitasking, like, just kind of getting my speed up. I mean, that was something that I didn't allow myself to get like beat myself up about. Like I didn't want to be like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with these teenagers, because, I knew that would get me, discouraged and make me feel insecure. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to like take my time. It's literally like, this is not rocket science. It's just something that I have not done things like this in a long time. So anyway, so I knew that, that was some of the things that were, like just needs to get familiar with like the screen and stuff like that. But then it was like, greets customers or interacts with customers, very warm and welcoming, very friendly, seems very authentic, like things like that, which that made me very happy. But then it also said, too hard on herself, needs to like not be so hard on herself, basically. But the way I see it is like, it's kind of, I don't know, somebody told me this one time and it always stuck with me. The difference in guilt and shame is, guilt is I've done something bad. Shame is I am bad. Does that make sense? So for me to be like, okay, I'm not doing great in this area of my life. Like I really need improvement, and I'm feeling like that conviction, or like there's kind of like a weight on me of like, to me, that's just the initiative to, that's like the gas, what is it called? Like the lighter fluid, not lighter fluid, maybe so. Yeah. It's just like, it's what gets gets everything started. Like nothing's wrong with that, I don't think. But when it becomes like obsessive, or when it becomes like, cause to me, like shame is just different. To me, shame is like, I am a bad person. This is like, I'm never going to do better. This is how I've always been. It's just like a lot, to me, it's a lot more, to me, shame is more about its attack of like your actual character, whereas guilt is like, I made a mistake. If it weren't for guilt, we wouldn't really be able to, like, we would just keep doing the same things over and over again if we didn't have guilt, if we weren't convicted on that. So anyway, so I don't feel like it's really a bad thing, but that's when it relates to my job, which is not that big of a deal. I'm not saying my job is not a big deal. I'm just saying, like, as far as like me beating myself up about like not, hitting things on the keypad fast enough. But like when it comes to my relationship with God, or with other people, or treating people like in a godly way, or things like that, that to me, like, I don't mind beating myself up a little bit if it means like, if I feel like I'm going to get it right. Because to me, those are the things that just, you can't, like, I can't risk not getting it right, you know, when it comes to how, like, what I do with the time that I have on earth, you know. And I know that's kind of like, I know I jump, like, I really don't do well with small talk. I'm realizing, you know, I'm not really one. I really had every intention to come on here and be like, okay, let me tell you what's going on in my life right now. Like, look at this bracelet I made, you know, but instead I'm like, let's get straight to the existential crisis that I'm like, you know, like, it's just, I don't know. I guess I feel like, again, like, life is short. Like, I don't want to waste time talking about the weather. It's hot. Everybody knows that. We'll move on. But so it's like, you know, the title of the live stream today was Those Who Thirst and Hunger for Righteousness. And the reason that I chose that is because, number one, it relates to what I was just talking about and what I'm kind of going to go into a little bit today. But also, it's because the Bible verse of the day, every day on the Bible app, has been from the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus's speech, like one of his most famous sermons, when he, you know, and there's a lot of really good scripture that comes from, you know, a lot of really good Bible verses and things that come from that. But like one of the main ones is, or not one of the main ones, but like the ones that they're kind of every day, it's one of the, you know, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the kingdom of God. Blessed are the peacemakers. And I think I talked about that in one of my videos. Like, I was relating it to, you know, actually like the women in this house and the difference in a peacekeeper and a peacemaker. And maybe that was something that I was going to dive deeper into, and I don't think I did, because, and the reason that I didn't is actually a good reason, because I started feeling down on myself on Saturday, and I thought, who am I to get on YouTube and like preach the gospel, you know, not preach the gospel, but like literally talk about things of the Bible when I'm like, I'm just not there yet. And that's kind of how I feel still. I do. I think that I have a pretty decent amount of knowledge when it comes to, you know, the little knowledge that I have of the Bible, but like how it relates to everyday life. And like, I feel like I'm not completely just ignorant when it comes to that. But I just don't think that I'm at a point in my life where I want to get on here and feel like even if I'm not on here, like, this is what you need to do. Like, that's what I feel like I'm doing. And I don't want to feel like I'm doing that, because I do feel days like this weekend, I feel like a fraud. I feel like, you know, and maybe part of me, like, not being so hard on myself would be like to take a minute and like step back and actually look at like what I'm doing on this YouTube channel to be like, okay, is it as bad as you think it is? Because maybe that's what I'm doing. Maybe I am blowing it out of proportion, and really I'm not on here like, let me tell everybody what I know, because I know the Bible and I know everything. And maybe I'm not doing it to that extent, but I feel like I'm just still trying to get a grip on this thing. Like, I'm still trying to figure out like what I want to do with this channel and like how it can benefit myself and others, you know, and if it does. I know today, like, there was not as much like resistance to like go. I was kind of excited to come on here and do this live stream, even though I had really no direction for it, besides just to say like, I'm back, and you know, everything in life has an ebb and flow. I mean, I definitely think that, you know, God, you know, forewarns us that like there's going to be mountains and valleys, you know. I mean, it's like the ebb and flow of life, you know, everything, nature, the weather, seasons, everything has highs and lows, up and downs, you know. It's just kind of like, that's just a given, and that's fine. What I do feel like is good, what I can really say like I'm very, very excited about, is that this low seemed pretty significant. I seem to have been down, and you have to understand too, and this is me being very transparent, and I'm not saying that this is easy, because it's not. I'm not one for labels. I'm not one for just putting labels on people, whether it be like medical diagnosis or you know, personality disorders, or you know, just whatever it is. I mean, good or bad, you know, good or bad, positive or negative. I just don't think that I think that it's so easy for us as human beings to own these titles or these labels. And it really hinders us from being the person that God truly intended us to be. But I will say that something that is very typical of, I don't want to say women, I want to say just anyone who has ever seen a medical professional related to substance abuse. And I use that as a blanketed term on purpose. It's a very blanketed general description because I think that bipolar is a very general diagnosis, and I think it's not at all accurate the majority of the time, and I think it's very detrimental to a lot of people to have that label put on them. And if they do suffer from very grave mental disorders, I feel like that's something that's really going to not affect them in a positive way. I just don't think that. But I don't want to get into all that. The point that I was going to make though is that, I don't mind, and I told my therapist this a long time ago, and I meant it for the most part. Of course, I don't want to feel crazy. Nobody does. That's just, I don't care who you are. Nobody wants to feel crazy, but, and I don't. That's what I'm saying. But I told my therapist a long time ago, I was like, I don't care what you diagnose me with. I don't care what you say is wrong with me. Not wrong with me, but like what my issue is. I don't care if you tell me that I'm like the absolute worst, like most horrible, like severe, like like mental, what's it called? Like mental illnesses or personality disorders, or like however you want to say it. Like, I don't care if you tell me that I'm paranoid schizophrenic. I don't care if you tell me that I'm a quadriplegic. I'm just kidding. It's not funny. Oh my gosh, if it gets us to the root problem that I get frozen in fear and I'm in my pool. Oh my gosh, y'all are gonna tell you some of the things that you all have already. Yes, I'm off already, didn't you? On my live stream, duh. I was so thinking that this was gonna be a serious live stream. I was so thinking that I was gonna not try to be funny, but I don't try to. This is just who I am. So listen to how funny this is. It's funny because I will not own this. I will not, like, I rebuke this. In 2020, so in 2020, I got like, I got like a new phone, and like I got like an iPhone, and I didn't have any of my old stuff. Like I didn't have like my Apple or like iTunes. Like I didn't have any of like my cloud or any of that, whatever. So like I had to like do all that. And one of the things I did was that Bitmoji, like the not like the avatars, but like it's y'all, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the Bitmoji thing where like you get to pick like the outfits, and they can like change, and they wear like Ralph Lauren, or they wear like yoga pants, or they wear like a unicorn onesie. Not saying that I ever wore those all the time. I actually wore a real life unicorn onesie to the nursing home one time. It was so fun, and I felt like they thought it was fun too. And I was just like swinging the tail like And I know you think I forgot about the whole mental disorder like diagnosis thing, but I'm coming back to that. But right now I'm talking about like why it's not good to put these medical like these diagnoses on people. No, really, I'm just telling a stupid story. So I got my Bitmoji, and now granted, like mind you, in 2020, COVID was like full on. Like COVID, it was like everybody was like living the COVID life, mask and all that stuff. So I make my Bitmoji, and I made her like she looked like me, like she had hair like me, and she wore like work clothes because I like worked in the office, and I was like too cool for school. And so one day, because if I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to make one and like put it on my channel so you can like see what I'm talking about. But like one day, like let's say she was like this is gonna, I hope that y'all think it's as funny as I do. Like, say it was like TGIF, like cutting out, like leaving work at 5 o'clock, like running, like, and there was like smoke, like smoke behind her or whatever. But my girl, like my me, was in a wheelchair, and I was like, that's odd. Like, Why is she in a wheelchair? But I'm like, I don't know. Is there ever like, does anybody else tell me if you can relate to this? Like, have you ever had something that like in the back of your mind, like you thought, but you didn't really think? And so like it seemed weird. And like in hindsight, you were like, "Ah, I always thought that was weird, but like I never like consciously like thought about it." Well, this was one of those things that like in the back of my mind, I was like, why am I in a wheelchair? But also COVID, I don't know. I guess for some reason I was thinking that like people would like like your emoji, like your Bitmoji person would be like wearing a mask or something. Mom was in a wheelchair. What's so sad is that every time I do these live streams and I tell you every time I laugh like this, it's not something that's funny. It's something that's not funny. And I just so I'm like kind of like laugh, crying a little bit, but I feel bad because I'm laughing, but also it's me. Like, don't worry, like I'm the one that suffers from this. So, I was in a wheelchair, and like it reminded me kind of like if you've seen Talladega Nights, like Will Ferrell when he's like, like Shoemake's like, don't you put that knife in your leg? He's like, you want to see what my life is like? Ah. That was kind of what it was like, but it was not in real life. It was like in the digital me. Digital me was like, in a wheelchair, but I always had the option to like not be in a wheelchair, like I could be playing basketball and it would have me like playing basketball, but it would also have me like playing basketball. And so I thought it was weird, but like I said, COVID was going on. I really didn't think too much. I had a lot of my life going on. Like I was living my life. So I didn't have time to worry about stuff like that. Definitely didn't have time to be like, yeah. So, but fast forward like years later, like literally years later, I get a new iPhone. I get a new iTunes and everything. Like I'm talking everything, new email address, new everything. And lo and behold, I get this Bitmoji and I design it and everything. And don't you know that it has me on there in a wheelchair again? And it really freaked me out because I was like, it's one of those things where, it's kind of like, don't think about, don't think about a pink elephant. Like you're like, okay, well, I didn't just think about a pink elephant, first of all. So I guess I do take instruction for myself pretty well. But like most people, if you say like, don't think about a pink elephant, like they're going to think about a pink elephant or like whatever it is that you tell them not to think about, they're going to think about it. But so when I say like, don't think about me, being like me, that being like my destiny, like my fate being that I end up being this girl in a wheelchair. But like I could not think about it, so it was like this like mind, it was just like this vicious cycle of like, why am I in a wheelchair? And then like thinking it's funny, but thinking like, what if I'm joking, but like it's really not funny. And so I say that all that to say, your future is not set in stone. Like you control your future. And I don't have that app anymore, I just like did away with the app. And I'm just kind of careful, like when crossing streets and stuff, I just err with the side of caution. Because I will not have that be my, I will not, what's it called? Like, I will not take ownership of that. Like, No, I think I got a lot of mobility left in me. So, with that being said, being bipolar is something that I really think it's just a magnified version of like what most humans that are capable, which is not very many that are like actually capable or like capable of feeling emotions, which is not many people, but like you're gonna have like typically that there is like I said, it's kind of like the ebb and flow. It's kind of like this how the seasons change and everything. No one's gonna be happy all the time. No one's gonna be depressed all the time or be chilled out or like like no one's gonna be I don't think it's natural for someone to be the same all the time. So to me, someone that's been diagnosed with bipolar could just be somebody, if they actually, the person diagnosing them actually did have any level of like, grounds to, like, I'm gonna turn this air off real quick, hold on. But anyway, all that I'm saying is that I can sit here and say it doesn't bother me, but I don't want to think that I'm like suffer from any mental illness. Like I want to think that like I'm just in recovery, and I'm just a human who is learning how to be in touch with my actual emotions, because you have to understand, like, for years now, I really fully thought that I was in control of my emotions. I had no idea, and I know this sounds stupid, and I'm saying this like in a matter of fact way, like I'm saying this like nonchalantly, but it really is something serious, and it's not something that I'm proud of by any means. But I really did think that, like, I did not know that I was under the influence of a mind altering substance that made me completely numb and suppressed all of my emotions and allowed me to, I guess, subconsciously trick myself into thinking that I was feeling things that I wasn't, or that I was in control of things, but I wasn't. Those emotions were just being pushed down, and I was, sinking deeper and deeper into this like state of just really delusion, and it's crazy because, like, I always say, like, one of my favorite phrases is like, or one of my favorite like sayings is, what we resist persists. And I really believe that. It's kind of like me in the wheelchair. Like, I don't want to think about too much. Like, I don't want to be in a wheelchair, because then if I think about it constantly, like, it's going to be like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I'm using that as an example because I really don't worry about that. I do thank God, when, like, I was at work today, and there was like one of my coworkers has like her like sciatica nerve or whatever, like she had to go like get a knee brace out of her car and stuff, or like a brace. And I really hated that for her. And I did in that moment, like, thank God that I'm, fairly agile, and like, I'm, for my age, like, I feel like I say for my age, like, not that I'm old, but like as an adult, I don't have a lot of physical ailments, and I'm very grateful for that. And I do thank God that I am a pretty active, healthy, energetic, human adult, like human adult. But so I use that. So I'm just using that as an example because it's kind of funny, but also kind of just like a hypothetical that's just kind of like nothing, like, it's just like nonsense. But I do think that what we resist persists. So I'm gonna get back on track. Where was I going with that? Oh, I know where I was going with this. Let me send her this text message real quick. What's cool is I think that maybe it just like pauses. Like, I've watched the replay on these before sometimes, and it's like, even if like my internet or like my service is spotty, like it'll it doesn't have like a period of like, like commercial music or like elevator music or whatever. It just kind of like cuts to the back, like when I'm back on here. That was the lady that just texted me was actually the person that's going to be my sponsor, I think. And so I'm kind of excited about that. And she said, okay, I'll call you a little later. Okay. So really, technically I do still have time, but I don't know. I'm feeling like I just wanted to hop on here and like, just touch base with you, because the point that I was trying to make is that, like, I think that I just was kind of going through a lull, and I think that it was perfectly normal. But like, there was like yesterday, I slept like most of the day yesterday, and I haven't done that in a really long time. Actually, when I first moved in here, which was like almost 4 months ago, almost 4 months ago, like I went through, like, I had like a weekend where I was just like super depressed, like, and I would say depressed like as my mood, not like clinically like depressed, but like, just, I was kind of like down and out, and just kind of felt alone, and just really, my thoughts were just everything was kind of moving really slow, and I really hated that. But I also really hate it when my brain seems to like be overstimulated, and I'm thinking like so many things at once, So I am trying to find that balance between them. But I am so happy that this time, like yesterday was like the crescendo of like me just kind of feeling like crappy, like just kind of having no energy and kind of being like apathetic to everything. And I really leaned into God as much as I could. And I love that. And I feel like that's what he wants from us. My face is froze. It was a portion of like, so anyway, I feel like it felt really good for me. It felt really good for me to be in like a slump And just to still be able to tell God, like, God, like, I don't really know what to pray right now. I don't know what to say. And I will tell you something that was really cool. No, 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 no. So yesterday I had to be at work. Oh no, I had to be at work yesterday evening. So I did kind of like sleep most of the day. But I would like pray to God. I was like, God, I just don't really know. Like, I don't have the words right now because I'm just feeling like I'm just kind of like whatever, like there's just not a lot going on with me, and I feel like I'm just faking it, but I don't want to do that, but like I don't know. And I was just being honest with him, and I feel like he responded to that and was like, it's okay, like as long as you're trying. And that goes back to the title of the live stream, was like, those who thirst for righteousness, those who just are trying to get it right. We obviously, he knows that we're not going to get it right, because that's why Jesus died on the cross for us. And we know that we're sinners by nature, and that we're never going to get it right. We're never going to receive righteousness on our own, like in any of our making. It's only through the precious blood of Jesus Christ that we're able to receive that righteousness. So I know he doesn't expect that of me, but days like yesterday, I just felt like I let him down. I feel like I was a disappointment to him, and I feel like he was telling me that, like, no, you're not, like, as long as you're trying, and really I feel like he probably likes for us to lean on him. It's kind of one of those things where, like, if you have a kid, you don't like to see your child sick ever. You don't like to see your child suffer ever, but like when they are hurting and they are just clinging to you and they just need you, it's like, it's a bittersweet. It's like, you don't want it to feel good because you don't want them to hurt, but like, it just feels good for them just to like need you, and I think as a mother, like, that can be a very slippery slope, because we don't need people to need us. Like, that's not healthy. That's like very codependent. But on a very like pure, like nurturing, like motherly instinct, like that level, it's like, it is nice, especially as they get older. And so I mean, I think that with God, that's probably, I would think, how he feels a little bit. He's like, I don't like to see you, I love when you're happy, and I love when you're like just crushing it in life, and even then, like, when you're giving me the glory, like, you're doing great, but you're like, thanks God, like, I'm using this energy to like give it back to you and like serve you and everything. But then, like, when you hit these plateaus, I think that he really likes for us to just continue to lean on him. And it made me feel better. It made me feel better because I feel like I feel like, today was one of those days where I was like, I just felt like a very low-key version of myself. I wasn't like, bouncing off the walls, because I don't think that I'm like, by nature, I don't think that I'm really just that like over the top. I do think that my personality, anyway, I've already been into that. And I mean, this channel doesn't have to be about me. Actually, it is. Actually, this channel is about me figuring me out, because I don't think that I can ever really be of service to God or anyone else until I figure out myself enough to know, like, who I am and who I'm not. And, and that's just kind of, one of those things that I'm just really navigating through right now. I am. But I feel better today. And I feel like, I didn't beat myself up about not coming on here and doing the live streams, because like I said, today, I don't feel like all I did was pretty much just like, evaluate, I mean, I told you guys a story about me being like Ricky Bobby, but that was just whatever. That was just like a freebie. But, I just wanted to, I'm kind of, okay. So I guess today was one of those days where I just wanted to get back to like my original intent, which was just stopping in every day just to let you know how I'm doing, just to hold myself accountable, or just to have, that, to be able to look back and like see the progress and like kind of see, I mean, it's just, it would be beneficial for me, if not anybody else, and if anybody else is like following my channel or following my recovery, or, like the entire, like the journey that I'm on, I mean, it's kind of just one of those things where like I'm learning as I go, and like I'm learning to lean on God and trust him more, like in the highs and the lows. And I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning like what I want to do with this channel, and like how it can, if it can affect anybody in a positive way, like if it can, reach anyone or serve God in any way. And if so, like how. And I think that it's kind of been a slow, gradual process. And to me, that kind of is like one of God's signature, like that's one of his trademark, like he usually does things in a very like, he takes his times with things. So I feel like if this channel was going to be ultimately like for his glory in like any real way, it doesn't discourage me to know that like things have gotten off to like at a snail's pace, like getting going. I'm fine with that because like I said, I mean, every day that I do this and kind of just share and like take a moment to like reflect on myself, even like it's never for nothing. It's never a waste of time. But you know, and it's also kind of like motivation for me to want to keep on the path, you know, keep focused. And really, I'm not focused on anything huge. I'm just focused on getting my mind back to where it was, you know, taking back all the things that the devil really almost, and I don't even, it's not even that he took them from me, you know, like I willingly gave them away when I was living my life in sin, you know, and that's fine. Like God forgives me for that. Like I'm forgiven, like praise God for the blood of Jesus that I'm like, I'm forgiven for that. But one thing that does, like, I don't want to say it scares me, but borderline does scare me, is that like I don't ever want to go down that road again. I don't ever want to, because I do want so desperately to help people in a real way, like for God. Like I'm not like this broken person that's like, oh, I need to save everybody. It's not like that. It's like I want my life to have purpose, and I want my purpose to be serving God and sharing the gospel in whatever way he intends for me, whatever way like he can use me based on like the person that he uniquely made me to be. So if anything, like today was just, even if it was just that, that's something. So I'm going to hop off of here. I'm going to call I think she's going to be my sponsor now. We'll see. I'm going to call her, and she seems really nice, and she seems like very excited. And maybe that's something I'll go into in another video. I don't know, because I haven't really been focusing a lot on recovery. It's been more like centered around God, which is fine. But you know, I am kind of, I got, you know, both of those things going for me right now. Obviously, God is at the forefront always. He is number one, my main priority above everything else. But, you know, my recovery is, you know, kind of contingent upon that, I think. But it's also going to severely just, it's going to pretty much destroy any relationship that I'm building with God. Like if my sobriety is like, you know, that those two things really are contingent upon one another. And I do feel good about it, but I also just have like this in the back of my mind. Like I've just had kind of this fear because I just know in the past, you know, when I got to this point, like I was like gone already. You know what I mean? Like I had already like fell off or like wasn't doing good or like definitely was not continuing down the right path like I am now. So even though that should be a sign for me that like, okay, I'm doing better, like I'm doing better than I have in the past. And like, this is really the exception and not the rule, you know, like this is going to be the time that everything is different. And so far it has been, but it's just still hard for me to get past the whole, like, you know, it's just like this, you know, cycle, you know, but if anybody can break it, and I know not if, but who, you know, God can. And I just trust him. And I know that he wants that for me because obviously he doesn't want to see me living in sin. He doesn't want to see me suffer. He doesn't want me, you know, not, you know, carrying out my calling, like what he put me here to do, you know. So anyway, but I am kind of tired still, but, you know, I trained today for, you know, my job, and I'm about to talk to my sponsor, and, I did this, even though it wasn't really anything, you know, to write home about. If you did tune in, I do appreciate it. You know that I always appreciate you guys. To my one person that I just saw pop up there, go ahead and subscribe to this, please, before you, if you want to keep scrolling, that's fine, because I'm about to get off here too. I get it. You have a life. I have a life. It's cool. But if you could just take time to maybe subscribe, share this with somebody who you think might be interested in it, leave me a comment. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. I can't promise you that I'm going to, like, you know, do everything, but let's try it, you know, because no one, like, let's play a game of Simon Says, like, you be Simon, like, tell me what you want to see out of this channel, and like, let's try it out, because right now I'm getting like crickets. And I just want to hear, you know, I want, you know, some feedback, and then the feedback that I'm getting is good, but then at the same time I'm like, oh, it's going to my head, like, la la la, like my ego. So it's just a learning process. But anyway, but I do thank you guys. I thank everybody that tunes in. I thank everybody that subscribed to my channel. I thank everybody who really takes the time and to like give. Time is precious. Everybody has a limited amount of time. It's definitely like a finite resource, and it's a very valuable resource. So anytime that you give to my channel, anytime that you, you know, like anytime that you spend on this channel. Like I've been very appreciative of that, very appreciative, and I don't make light of that. So with that being said, I do thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. I'll try to, maybe give you guys a little heads up on like what's going to be in the future, but otherwise, just kind of keep looking out and let me know like how things are going for you. Okay, guess what? Tomorrow's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday, today's Thursday. Yay, it's almost TGI up. Okay, love you guys. I'm gonna go. Wish me luck calling my hopefully soon to be sponsor. Love y'all. Jesus loves you. Talk to God. Leave comments, like leave him comments first, talk to him, listen to him, spend some time with him, spend some time in his word. And then if you have any time left over, maybe give me some comments, let me know where we can take this channel that would ultimately like be for his glory. Okay, love y'all. I'm gonna go. Bye.